Loretta, I appreciate you being with me today to chat a little bit about the coaching process that you went through with me over the last year. And so I wanted to focus in. We have, about 18 topics when we talk about authentic leadership, and these are topics that I take coaches and facilitators through when they come through the training on how to use our programs. And if I go into an organization, this is kind of the roadmap that an HR specialist would be able to choose from. And when you and I started our coaching relationship, this was kind of the suite of offerings that I gave to you, is like, here's a roadmap of different things that we can talk about that will impact both your personal development and your professional development. So I know that one of the topics that was really resonating for you was the inner critic. And it's one of the reasons, I use that as a foundational topic in all of my trainings and generally with my coaching packages as well. And it's one of those things that it's quite interesting that many people enter into the conversation thinking, oh, I'm the only one that has this voice in my head. And so one of the first steps is to somewhat normalize that and say, hey, just about everybody's got this. So I'm curious, when you think back to the conversations we had around your inner critic, what were some of the ahas that you had, and how have things shifted since we worked on that?
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, I guess the ahas were that everybody has an inner critic. That's a big one, because some people's lives can look, especially when we have our own inner critic is loud or can be loud over certain things, that everyone is dealing with their own version of an inner critic. That was really powerful for me. It's like, oh yeah, of course, when I see these other little things in people, that's the same idea. It's just their version of it. So that, and what the things that you gave me, the tools that we went through, there was one where shifting yourself, like literally shifting your body, or shifting your body to shift your mind, and just sitting with it, with the recognition of having a moment like that, and being able to shift it. But that was after I had spoken my shame about the inner critic to you, and how difficult that was for me. That was really difficult, to admit that I'm ashamed of my own inner critic. And it's so strong in the body, right? For me anyways, it hits me in the solar plexus and it takes me out. So to be able to do the shift to something else, to focusing on something else, to recognizing that everybody has it, to knowing that it's a trigger, to understand that I'm having a moment, and it doesn't mean that anything is wrong. It's just a moment. It doesn't mean that I can't do the thing. It's just a moment, was so powerful for me. And it changed so many things. I had a moment with my manager the other day where she called about something, and I had the feeling in my body, the same feeling in my body. And then I was like, oh, well, wait a minute. There's nothing wrong here. I didn't do anything wrong. This is not on me. There was really nothing wrong. I can apologize for my part that led to a miscommunication, but I didn't do anything wrong. And I could feel, and when I got off the call, it was like, oh, I did that really well. I felt it come up. I just kind of thought it through for just a moment, but mostly I just sat with it and went, I didn't do anything here. I didn't do anything. You're not wrong. It's okay. Stuff always happens. You don't have to feel like you did something wrong because something happened. And it's not personal, and it's not you. So yeah, it's been really powerful for me.
I so appreciate you talking about the shame aspect of the inner critic, because that's a vulnerable place to go to. Shame is not something that we talk easily about in the workplace in particular. And yet it is such a common component of the inner critic. And I think for women particularly, that feeling of shame that is often associated with the inner critic, as you talked about, it shuts us down. It makes us small, it keeps our voice small. And so the pathway that you talked about, I'm curious, when you think in retrospect now, if you could kind of encapsulate how you're feeling or experiencing life, now that you have more of an awareness of your inner critic and some tools to deal with it. Because as I always say, it never goes away. It just, our relationship changes with it. It's not like we get to banish this inner critic. It still shows up. But how would you say that you're feeling now that you've got these tools to work with?
I feel really empowered. I really do. It's taken so much of the sting out of it. Even if I can feel it in my body, it takes that, if I want to describe the physical experience, it would hit me in my solar plexus and then I would get hot all over, and kind of, and now I can feel it happen in my solar plexus, but not that whole response happens. It's like, oh, no, 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 no. And it's not even verbal. It's just like something happened in me with just actually saying the shame out loud. There's some gift in saying shame out loud that really took so much of it off and really empowered me to just feel okay about, just about everything. Because I'm not an evil person. I'm never one to do something on purpose to hurt someone ever or get something wrong. So that's the truth about me. So yeah, quieting the inner critic down, or knowing that quieting it down and knowing that I can move. That moving thing was really powerful for me.
Mm.
So I feel empowered.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share some of your experience with me. And I know that I look forward to sharing these tools with other coaches and facilitators so that there can be more of a ripple effect so that we can have more empowered people in the world.
Yes. Thank you, Laura.